15, I bring the meeting to order. Please join us for the pledge to allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Bob Freeman.
Yep.
This morning, Frank Riley is here. In front of me, the minutes from the Selectmen's meeting and Finance joint meeting, August 1st. Make a motion, we approve them.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye. I also have a copy of the Selectmen's minutes from the Selectmen's meeting on Monday, August 1st. Make a motion, we sign them.
Second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have the vouchers here for the weekend at 8/6. Gross wages was $31,000.14. Payroll taxes was $9,650.99 for a total of $40,651.13. Accounts payable batch total was $93,802.92. Bulk of that made up for, there was roughly a $66,000 payment made on the addition to the new garage down there, and the other one, the general bills, for a grand total for the week of 8/6 for $134,454.05. Make a motion, we approve them.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, we do review all of our bills that are on these manifests and our payrolls on individual basis, and then they come out on the batch totals, which is what we approve at our meetings. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Thank you. I have here a request for a contract to use the facilities. It's for the Rodney A. White VFW auxiliary number 8270. They want to use it on the 22nd day of October 2016 for a penny sale. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have some abatement forms here to go through. Map 117, Lot 5. The assessor said taxpayer timely filed the abatement for 2015. They're appealing because they purchased the property for $4,000. From the assessor's point of view, the taxpayer has not supplied any information relating to the term of the sale, nor have they supplied an appraisal. The purchase price seems to be low. He did readjust it by looking at it. He dropped the assessment from $15,000 down to $11,600. If the owner comes back in with more comparisons, then he'll reassess it again. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All those in, any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye. I have another one here for map 122, lot 10. Taxpayer timely filed the abatement 2015 tax year. He's appealing his assessment because he believes his assessment is above market value. It says the property has had a complete inspection. The assessment data has been updated. This campground was listed as having deeded water access when it does not. The town beach abuts this property and is available to the people in the campground. Make a motion, we grant this.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. We have another abatement, map 53, lot number 47. This particular one, they filed timely in the 2015 tax year. The assessor has requested, it says the taxpayer has not responded to our written request for a complete inspection. Therefore, I am forced to recommend denial. Make a motion, we deny this abatement.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have another one here on map 136, lot 14, sub 001. Again, taxpayer timely filed for abatement in the 2015 tax year. The assessor goes on to say the taxpayer has not responded to our written request for a complete inspection. Therefore, he is forced to recommend a denial. Make a motion, we deny this.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
You're signing to approval side.
I did that, didn't I?
You did, and so did Bob.
I just signed with Frankie.
He just followed me, you know? Means I can lead him anyways.
Right over the cliff, Frank.
Thank you. I have another one for lot 103, map 103, lot 16. Again, the taxpayer filed an abatement for the 2015 tax year. They're appealing the assessment because the building burned in 2015. They filed for abatement or proration of the tax under RSA 76:21. The taxpayer has lost use of the building for half of the tax year. It says under the proration statute, the taxpayer is entitled to a refund for the prorated amount of the building that was destroyed by natural disaster. The assessment on this building in 2015 was $29,600. Divided by 5 is now $14,800.
Right, by 2.
Divided by 2.5. I missed the point. Okay. Means that down the building now has an assessed value of $14,800. Make a motion, we approve this.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Have another one, map 46, lot 32. Hope there's an end to these. Again, the taxpayer timely filed in 2015, appealing the assessment. It says the taxpayer has not responded to our written request for a complete inspection. Therefore, I'm forced to recommend a denial. Make a motion, we deny this one.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? And I'm signing the right side.
Me too.
One more. This one is lot 130, it's map 132, lot number 38. This one again was taxpayer timely filed for abatement in 2015. It said again, the taxpayer has not responded to our written request for a complete inspection. Therefore, I'm forced to recommend denial. Recommend we deny this abatement.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye. A notice of intent to excavate. This is from Martell, actually, tax map 277, lot 04, Browns Ridge Road. Motion, we approve it. Taxes are paid.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have an intent to cut wood. This is on tax map lot numbers 17-5, 17-6, 25-2, and 209-1, New and Drew Road. It's going to be, logger is going to be, it's actually Kara M. Allen for Garland Logging Company, Lumber Company. Make a motion, we approve it. Taxes are paid and no cemetery. All those, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We have another contract to use the facilities for a wedding reception, the gymnasium on 9/17/16. It's been cleared through everybody and okayed. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
The purchase order here for a 55-gallon drum of sealer for concrete. It's made out to the Harris A.H. Harris and Sons Corporation. It's for $1,700 from our Public Works Director. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Have a petition here for a light pole, Public Service Company of New Hampshire, i.e. Eversource, located down off Cold Spring Circle. Make a motion, we approve this pole to be put in.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
The timber tax warrant here, it goes to our tax collector. It's the Kelly Skian, Collector of Taxes, Town of Ossipee. Name of the state of New Hampshire. You are hereby directed to collect the yield taxes on the list herewith committed to you, amounting to the sum of $1,441.86. Make a motion, we approve them. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye. Have the data from the recycling facility for July of 2016. They collected $6,867. Anybody would like a copy of it, you're welcome to it.
You have to sign all three.
You can't get away with just one?
Yeah.
I tried.
Almost did it. All followed you again.
Pretty good, I lead him anyway, you know?
That's right. I'm the second man.
I have a letter here from a lady, Jan Mabley. Says, I want to commend the men and women who run the transfer station and mistakenly threw away a large envelope of jam labels I had ordered for my blueberry jam. I realized my mistake within a half an hour of my husband going to the dump. Poor husband. I went there, and Bruce and Rick kindly dug through the pile of recyclable papers, newspapers, and discarded mail to look for the labels. Unfortunately, it could not be found. I was very grateful for their effort, which seems to be beyond the requirements of the job. Of course, Bonnie was there too, and I've always found her to be very helpful and friendly while still running a tight ship. Commendable, and pass it on to folks at the dump, please. We have our annual letter, our weekly letter here from the cable company, now known as Charter Communication. Anybody would like to have a letter on their update, they're welcome to it. We have another notice here from Mount Washington Valley Support Recovery Coalition. It says, Dear Town of Ossipee, the MWB Supports Recovery is proud to announce that the second annual Take a Walk in Our Shoes event on Sunday, September the 18th. Last year, 300 people came out from towns across Carroll County to participate and bring awareness to the substance use epidemic in our community. This year, we are expecting 500 participants. The main walk will start at 10 a.m. in North Conway and end at Schroeder Park. Walkers and the community are invited to attend our rally in the park at 12 to 2 p.m. for our family barbecue activities and all their information about local and statewide resources to support the prevention statuses, information, and assess the appropriate treatment and long-term recovery. Anybody would like a copy of this and the information that goes with it? This one, I guess, will go on our bulletin board. It's not already there. Is it there yet?
I'm not sure if there's
Well, it's in public notice. You want to make sure it goes on. So, thank you. I have the updated letter that comes out of Joe Kenny, the executive counselor's office, which explains their functions and what they do and what they approve for different projects throughout the state. It is highlighted in here for the ones within Joe Kenny's area. Anybody who would like to have a copy of this, you're welcome to it. It's good reading. It kind of shows you what the state is doing and where they're spending the money. It's good information, and you're certainly entitled to a copy of that. Last thing I have here in this folder tonight is our auditors have sent us in a request, which is setting us up for next year's audit, 2016 audit, but in 17, right, Ellen?
correct.
For us to enter into an agreement with them and set them up to come in here and do our audit. Last year's audit went extremely well, as we've mentioned on many occasions here, and we don't want to lose track of that. The audits are important. The audits make sure that everything is being done as it's supposed to be being done, and make sure our finances are in good shape. Therefore, I make a motion that we enter an agreement with these folks for next year.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask how much that costs? Just
it's-
know.
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $18,000 per year.
That's the end of the red folder. Old business, I'd just like to, we did get correspondence back on the Pine River boat launch on Route 25. In fact, we've had a couple, one in from Jed Bradley. We got another one in from Garrett
Grass camp.
Grasskemp, is that how you pronounce it? And he goes on to say, this is the one that has the dates in it. Jed Bradley just came in and said that they are delayed because of lack of material. But this gentleman says, this is an update of the work the New Hampshire Fish and Game is doing to upgrade the boat access on Pine River off Route 25. News release is attached. Please forward to the selectmen and other appropriate town leaders, as I do not have emails for everyone. As stated in the email earlier below, we have kept the ramp open informally during the summer as we work on other project conditions remote from the ramp. The situation remains current and will be in effect until after Labor Day. We had hoped to work on the ramp during this month of August and complete the refurbishment of the ramp would be opened on Labor Day and through September. Some construction material will not be delivered in time to complete the ramp work before Labor Day, so we have adjusted the schedule. Starting on Tuesday, September the 6th, the project work will be directed to the ramp proper and will be totally closed for 4 to 6 weeks with equipment in the water blocking access. Please call at any time if you have any questions and I can provide you more information. So starting September 6th now, and this has been moving, this has been a quite moving target all summer, but now the boat ramp, according to this, will be available for people to use until September 6th, at which time it supposedly will be closed completely, and there'll be equipment in the water which is not going to allow boats in or out of the channel which leads out to it. Any other old business?
No.
Any other old business? Under new business, I have a couple of things. We've been talking about 2 buildings on Ossipee Lake that need to be removed. We have not dropped that, as some may think, but what we want to do here this evening is we're going to make authorization for our code enforcement to start the process to abate these 2 buildings, which means you'll be in touch with our attorney. These people will be notified they have certain length of time to remove them, or the town will take the initiative to remove them and lien the property. That's in accordance with RSA 155B:1. I'd like to make a motion that we authorize our code enforcement officer to start this process.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that process will now start with a clock. We see if we can't get these buildings cleaned up. They're terrible down there. Next thing on the new business, I have a resolution here presented to us. Folks of the Moultonville United Methodist Church, and it goes as follows. It says, whereas the selectmen of the town of Ossipee in the state of New Hampshire at their regular meeting on August the 8th in the year of our Lord 2016 voted unanimously by resolution to recognize the 150th anniversary of the Moultonville United Methodist Church. Whereas in the autumn of 1865, John Godey Wigan brought together the founders of the church during a series of class meetings. Whereas in November 1865, a cornerstone was laid for a future building. Whereas January 10th, 1866, a building was dedicated by then Pastor Elder Dr. Adams, Reverend Dr. Adams. Whereas in December 1931, shortly before Christmas, this building burned down. Whereas during the period of December 1931 to 32, services were held in the Moultonville Schoolhouse. Whereas in 1932, Reverend Alice M. Gilman saw this present building erected and dedicated. Whereas on August 11, 1991, the selectmen of the town of Ossipee voted unanimous by resolution to recognize the 125th anniversary of the Moultonville United Methodist Church. Now therefore, be it resolved that the selectmen of the town of Ossipee, New Hampshire, through their powers, proclaim August 11, 2016, the date for celebration and thanks for the work done in the past 150 years by the Moultonville United Methodist Church, and wish you well in the future. By our hand on this date, August 8, 2016. Make a motion, we sign this.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Some of the folks to hear from the church.
Would you like to make a statement or provide input or?
Very nice. Very good job at the history of the church.
And thank you very much, and we'd like to thank the community as well for supporting us this 150 years. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's very important. I know you folks, and they struggle a lot to keep going. I appreciate the goodies during the election season. Loretta always has some of her apple squares for me, and I think I've got to the point now where I very much look forward to them because they're delicious. But I know you work hard, and I know there's a lot of things you do good for the community, and for that, I say thank you, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, we can. Would you like to receive this? You want to talk?
Actually, I was going to put a town seal on it and frame it for them.
We'll put a town seal on it and frame it for you. And then Ellen will be in touch with you so you can get it back. How's that? Is that okay? Thanks, Ellen. Then we have a gentleman, do we have Luke?
Yes, sir.
Luke, I'm not going to
Freeman.
try to pronounce your last name. I can get tongue twisted pretty easy.
I'll be short, but thank you, Select Board, for having me. I'm the selectman over in Wolfboro. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing. You can pass this around. What we're doing in Wolfboro over the last year to address the opioid crisis, which is, as you'll see from the numbers, Wolfboro and Ossipee share a large burden in the county for deaths and for overdoses currently. Last year, Huggins Hospital administered 180 units of Narcan to people. Memorial about the same. Last year there was 22 deaths in Carroll County. We're on pace this year for 30 countywide. So last year, with the help of Captain Rondeau, who's a captain on Wolfboro Police Department, and Chief Chase, and we started a program called Compassionate Policing, and it was modeled after Laconia. And about 2 years ago, I met Eric Adams, who's a officer in Laconia, and he's running the program over there. And what Compassionate Policing does is the first time somebody overdoses, it's called the 24-hour golden window, and it's the first time in someone's life where they're fairly likely to accept help. They're brought back by Narcan. And as part of the compassionate policing role, Officer Adams is on call 24/7. So he goes out to the scene of an overdose, and from that point on, he works with that person as a liaison. He gets them into counseling. He gets them into rehab if necessary, whether it be inpatient or outpatient. He works with the master's licensed alcohol and drug counselor to do all this, and he follows up with them. And in the first year of the program over in Laconia, they took in 33 people into this program that had overdosed. And after a year, 22 were still clean and sober. 11 had relapsed at some point, multiple times or one time, but they were still in the program and they were still continuing with it. The compassionate policing program does not alleviate the person of their responsibility or of the legal system. They still get arrested. The process still goes on. And in fact, the information gathered during that 24-hour window, is used to find out who the dealers are, where they've gotten the drugs, and that type of thing. And the program does work. So about a year ago, we implemented it in Wolfboro, and a sergeant is taking it on. And we are working with Melissa Fernald in Wolfboro, who's a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. She has an organization called Safe Surroundings. And so as soon as somebody overdoses, the sergeant goes out to the scene. He starts that process. As part of their bail conditions or their parole conditions, they have to meet with that person. So we're trying to not arrest our way out of the problem, but we certainly see that there's a need to look at the role differently and how we handle it, how we combat it. The cost of the taxpayers was zero in Wolfboro because we'd already had an officer. That officer just took on that role as an extra role. And we had the drug and alcohol counselor. She works through Medicaid to get reimbursed. So it doesn't need to necessarily cost the towns any money. In a small town, Laconia has dedicated a whole officer to it, and that obviously, those funds are different than what we've been doing in Wolfboro. But it has been working. I mean, we've only been in the first year of it, and we're already seeing a difference. Those numbers aren't going to come down for a long time. We're trending statewide this year for 500 overdose deaths in New Hampshire. And the funding hasn't necessarily come as fast as it should have. For a long time, our legislators and the people that were responsible for doing something ignored the problem. And now people are finally taking a look at it and recognizing the fact that we need to spend money on this issue. It's not only a public health epidemic, but it's going to be a financial epidemic because on average it costs $500,000 to $600,000 to bring one person off of heroin or any opioid and back into recovery with the multiple relapses that usually ensue during the course of treatment. So I came here today to talk to you about that. I feel it's the defining issue of our time, and it's all around us. I own a small marine construction business in Wolfboro, and I saw it firsthand, and I've been talking about it for 5 years now to people. I had no idea, but right in front of me for the first 6 months of the year, I had hired a guy, and he came to work, and he was functional, and you never would have known, but the day that he couldn't get his drugs was the day that I was able to see it for the first time. And the Wolfboro police, he had a warrant, I didn't know about it. They came, arrested him, and they said, and I was standing there, I was amazed, and they said, Luke, we know you're involved with the issue. You're a selectman here in town. We know you're running for their offices, and just so you know, this your guy here, he's a good kid, but he's on heroin. And I had no idea. It was 9 o'clock in the morning, and they were like, "Do you see? He's sweating, and we're all like completely fine. He's wearing long sleeves." So that day, I asked him to roll up his sleeves when he came back after getting bailed out. And it was like the first time in my life, even though I've been talking about it, that I actually saw the arms. And in a lot of cases, they cut heroin with all kinds of things, fentanyl, anything to make it cheaper. However, they cut it often with meat tenderizer, which makes the wounds black and extremely nasty. So, I think it's going to affect all of us in our lifetime. It's all around us. So anything that we can do about it, anywhere that I can go and talk about the issue, I try to. And I think as neighbors, we can share information. These reports are put out by the state of New Hampshire, and they tell a tale. I mean, Wolfboro and Ossipee are in the same categories for overdoses with Pittsfield and Hooksett, and those are major towns. I mean, we're tiny towns, and the deaths that are coming out of Wolfboro and Ossipee, those put us in the same categories, as Hooksett and Merrimack and towns that are much bigger than us. We have a crisis on our hands, and anything that we can do in Wolfboro, as a board of selectmen, if we want to meet here and there, I'll come here obviously to come and talk to you guys. But and I can certainly put our police department in touch with yours, and we can work together to do whatever it takes to battle this. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If any questions, I'd be certainly happy to take them.
The only question I have, and it's more of a statement, and I don't disagree with anything that you've said, with the exception of my concern is that we are already asking our police officers to do more than any 9 people ought to. Mm-hmm. And I understand that it is working in Laconia, and that you had signed one over there. I would like to think that all of our police officers are compassionate people and are trying to help even people that they arrest. This is a public health issue that needs to be addressed by a whole lot more than simply passing it on to the police. We have a couple of things going on here with the White Horse Addiction Center, but there needs to be a whole lot more.
I fully agree.
you know, we have, what, 8 people on our police department? There is no way that we have the resources to have one of them being called in to do just overdoses. It's a terrible problem that needs to be addressed. I don't think it's going to be able to be addressed by law enforcement. There is a police end to the drug crisis, there's an education, and there's certainly a prevention.
Of course.
I would encourage you, while you're at it, why not go back to the Governor Wentworth School District and find out why they're doing no drug prevention programs? None.
Well, actually, that's a good point. And
If I could just finish real quickly, the only one they ever had was the DARE program,
Yeah.
and they threw it out. The letter I sent to them before I retired was that I prayed they were right and I was wrong. Because for me to be right would be burying children, and what are we doing? They're doing nothing for prevention.
I'll tell you, it was hard to get the Governor Wentworth School District on board. I had Sean Cooper and myself, who's a good friend of Wolfboro, brought 4,200 kids this spring to Meadowbrooks with the help of Eastern Propane and Merrifield Savings Bank to hear Chris Herron, who was an NBA basketball player, drafted in the first round down in Massachusetts, fell into addiction. We brought 4,200 kids from the Lakes region, the 11th and 12th graders from Kingswood, and the 8th graders from the middle school, and then Brewster Academy, and every other school around the lake came. And the DARE program it needs to be completely revamped. It needs to be a top-down approach as opposed to a bottom-up approach, because we have to be addressing the issue. One time using heroin could be the difference between life and death. And I appreciate everything you said, and I agree with it fully.
They need to get to these kids before they start.
I agree with you 100%.
Not close the barn door when the horse is 3/4 of the way across the pasture.
I agree with you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your efforts and
Thank you.
everything you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
How's everybody today? John Reckenbrod, Ossipee resident. On this topic of drugs, just a simple statement, the war on drugs, really, for those involved, maybe they need to take another look. I've concluded that the war on drugs is much like a board game. For those involved, it's a vicious circle of revenue, and we end up at the same point once again, and it continues. If I picture, being at war, taking fire, and shooting back to try to spare your buddy who's wounded, to try to get him to safety, it looks the same way to me. The war on drugs should reflect that same imagery. We're not at war with drugs. I think that's a poor choice of words. I work in the community, limited employment, but what I see at my job is pathetic. I challenge anybody to spend an overnight on the weekends in a convenience store to see what really takes place. It's pathetic, it's sickening. There are drugs deals going on right in the face of the officer that's sitting in his cruiser. And I see it from the cashier's perspective. I think this war on drugs is a joke. It's commendable that people stand up and have help programs. But again, that aids in this vicious circle of revenue. And I think there's possibly a stream of revenue that exists that many of us are not even aware of, especially those in the community who are really the true victims here. I think there's some money flowing around that causes folks in the community to look the other way. Maybe even the law enforcement agencies, I don't know. Maybe even the judge. Do we have a case of malfeasance here? The officers go at great lengths to get these people through the system, only for the judge to turn them loose. I remember one time when I was working at a convenience store locally, where the front page of the local paper had 9 individuals' pictures on the front page. All arrested, heroin, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they turned out to be most of my ice cream customers for overnight. But after a few weeks, I started to see them all coming back into the store again. What's going on? Does this defeat the continual stream of revenue that they got going in this board game back at the beginning again? Let's look back at Prohibition. it got to the point where, you know, certain people are victimized and another group of people are supposed to die. We have young people victimized by this. Where are the parents? Where is the seriousness in this? Prohibition got to such a point where the only way out was to legalize it. And I'm not really supporting that idea, but it seems to be feeding a situation here that shouldn't be. To restrict it, maybe, you know, in the way of nature, certain things will take care of themselves. Why should we have to put some control on it? Who's benefiting by it? Not us.
What, to legalize it and just let the kids die at will, because that's Darwin or something?
Well, if you look at nature and the human condition in the past, you know, when it's unlawful to do something, the first thing you want to do is test the system and get out there and see how long you can get away with it.
Well, I think that oversimplifies it, but that's.
Well, it may
neither
be,
here nor there.
but-
You're entitled to your opinion.
There's a lot of ways of looking at things.
Oh, sure.
And that's just what first comes to my mind. But I do see this whole problem as a vicious circle. And the seriousness is not addressed. I think everybody's too comfortable in it. There's money flowing, and it really looks bad from my perspective. Like I said, I relate to it.
I think there's a lot of seriousness, and I think they are trying to address the issues out there. There's a lot of issues. I think this is a different day and age than prohibition and a lot of other different ways. I'm not going to challenge your opinion because you certainly are entitled to it, but I think there's a lot of good work going on, and I do agree with you that I think our offices work extra hard.
Mhm.
They get people to court, and I'm not completely convinced that the court process is necessarily correct, but it's the best one we have. So, but I do think there's a lot of good going on, and I think a lot of people are trying real hard to address this issue.
Well, let me say this, for what I see day in, day out, for those who get angry about it and want to do something about it, searching for answers, for those who are compassionate about it. And it's upsetting that nothing is apparently being done in the right direction. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much. Any other new business?
No.
Any new business? Open for public input, please. Anybody have any public input tonight? Ed?
I did want to announce that you mentioned the Governor Wentworth School District meetings. Tonight at 7 o'clock, Brookfield, Townhouse. They're going to hold their meeting there. So if you'd like, I'm going to videotape that one. You can go to Brookfield and you can tell them in that, in Brookfield, tell them about what you said here. There is another side story to the boat ramp. But I'm just going to read this, just to put this in the record. Just for some background, the Ossipee Selectmen had asked New Hampshire Fish and Game to postpone the work on the Pine River boat ramp, citing the obvious time of year and the impacts it would have on surrounding businesses. A big concern was the private boat docks don't have the necessary boat watchers to make sure they are not entering and leaving the lake with clean and plant-free boats. Having received little response from New Hampshire Fish and Game, the selectmen then asked the local New Hampshire state reps for guidance and help. The New Hampshire State Representative Ed Comeau, that's myself, Representative Lino Avalani, Representative Mark McConkey, Executive Counselor Joe Kenny, and New Hampshire State Senator Jeb Bradley went to work for the people of Ossipee to have the New Hampshire Fish and Game postpone the project. We are pleased to say that with some hard work and the cooperation at all levels, we got the boat ramp project postponed until September 6th, 2016. Now, what I'd like to add to this is we shouldn't have this ever repeat again. So there will be more work done on trying to figure out how to make sure we have a liaison with Fish and Game so the scheduling can be somehow triggered so everybody will know well in advance, because apparently no one communicated this.
But not just scheduling. There was never an opportunity for the people in town or locally to have even a comment or input on the plan. All they need to do is adopt a set of rules similar to what DOT has, which, I mean, they were here last week telling us what they're gonna be doing in 2019. so that it gives people a chance to participate in the process. And Fish and Game wanted to, we just simply adopt a set of rules similar to that, so that it doesn't come as any surprise. There were a whole bunch of options that we could have utilized had it ultimately had to be closed. You could set up a parking, you know, a parking shuttle or whatever to keep that lake open. I'm glad it's worked out, but it's almost worked out by accident, by us collectively being proactive. It could have been a disaster, and it shouldn't have ever got that far.
What usually happens is everybody in government is very reactive, and then when they leave office, it's forgotten about and it just repeats over and over again. So that's where meetings we have to meet with Fish and Game, and your area reps are willing to do that, to sit down with Fish and Game and do the proactive steps of having public hearings when this type of thing happens, so we don't have to.
Kind of the problem is, to be honest though, Fish and Game has one other launch, and that's at Garland Pond. Nothing they do over there is ever gonna disrupt anybody at all. So the likelihood that it's gonna be an Ossipee issue again, probably not in our lifetime. But what about all of those other lakes around the state? What about all those other people who have a campground adjacent to a body of water with a boat ramp managed by Fish and Game? You know, it could seriously, I can't imagine they wouldn't want public input. And it doesn't appear that they did.
Well, I think they will. So things have to change that way.
I'd just like to thank all the reps that worked to get this done for us, and I appreciate all your efforts, and thank you very much for doing it. The email that came from Fish and Game indicates delay in construction material that caused it to slow to the 6th of September.
Yeah.
You indicate it's the work you folks did to get it out there.
However it gets done.
But nevertheless, I still would like to say thank you very much to you folks for your hard effort. And I see Mark hiding in the doorway over there. Thanks again, I do appreciate it. We appreciate it in the area because it is an area issue. And it's good that we can get through the summer with it that way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the government and its agencies need to communicate better. It's always been a problem, and I think we're heading in a better direction to have a more proactive and positive approach to things like this, because if you look at the work that is being done on the boat ramp, it is going to be a nice boat ramp. I mean, they're doing a lot of work on it. So, you know, not to say, usually with government, if there's no rule, they're not going to do it. So you just have to create a rule and make sure they do what's best, what we ask them to do. I guess they work for us. So, okay.
Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks again to all of you folks. Any other public input?
Yeah. I know it was kicked aside almost 2 months ago. The West Ossipee Meeting House, are they going to tear it down or going to keep it? Or?
We haven't even addressed it, to be honest with you, Cole. It's,
well, you said that you couldn't do anything because of
it's under the control of the trustees, not under the control of the Board of
I
Selectmen.
don't even know who owns it. Right. Is the problem. The trustees have an account that doesn't address the ownership of the building. I don't think they even know who owns it.
I don't want to give you, nothing's been done on it. Yes, it is sitting there. Yes, it's in terrible condition. It needs to have something done, or yes, it needs to be removed. Maybe we need to look at it under the hazardous building statute.
Yeah, the window, you get broken windows, the doors are wide open.
Yeah, it's been that way for years and years and years. It's been a long time it's been in that condition. We can look at it under the hazardous building RSA. We can hold a public hearing on it to see if anybody has any input, and if they don't, then we can maybe move forward with the.
Where is that located?
It's right at the old Rhines Garage, right at the base of the cemetery.
Yeah.
Any other public input?
I have a question.
Dallas?
This has nothing to do with anything, but the scenic overlook, the Ossipee overlook, and I brought this up to Frank, and I gotta find out if there's anything you guys can do about it. Maybe send a letter to the Conservation Commission or somebody about the facility being used as a bathroom with no porta potties or anything. The whole place is a mess up there. Is that something you guys can handle, or can you send a letter to them? Or?
Have you mentioned it to anybody on the Conservation Commission or at their meeting?
I haven't been to the second meeting, I just went up there this week. Because somebody mentioned it to me, and I went and looked, and it is pretty messy. So is it something that the town would have something to do, or is it?
Town owns it, Conservation Commission manages it, so I mean, I don't have any opposition to send them a note and ask them to look into it, but
Well, I'd be looked into is a number of things. Unfortunately, when you get a facility such as that, everybody's real pleased when it shows up, but then no one takes care of it after it gets here. I have no problem with,
well, it's also exacerbated by the fact that the state has no rest areas
I understand.
north of
Yeah.
wherever. So,
That may be the biggest problem, no rest areas along the way, so.
I know there's some hesitation to put containers down there for garbage, for lack of a better term, because once you do that, you'll have the weekend garbage that comes through here. And you'll need 2 or 3 dumpsters to clean it up every Monday morning.
But we're getting it anyway, we're getting that and everything else, so.
I make a motion we address it to the Conservation Commission in the form of a memo to ask them just what they intend to do with it and what help we can give them
I'd like to see
Try
him
to
put a porta
correct it.
potty down there. I'd like to see him put a porta potty down there for people to use when they go there.
I understand, you need a lot more than one.
Go ahead.
Something, start.
Didn't we try that in the little park up Montville Road? And the kids dumped the porta potties and raised havoc and destroyed it, so I don't believe they're out there
I don't
anymore.
really know.
They would do
Did
something.
they?
I did.
So it's an issue.
It's an issue without an easy answer.
The hard part is,
I don't think you can put, in all sincerity, if you're gonna put porta potties down there, you can't put one. They'd overflow that in the first hour and a half it's there. I mean, you're talking on Route 16, thousands of cars. I mean, if there was.
Well, I just brought it up, I mean, I don't know how to address it. or who to
Let's address it
with.
to them and ask them for their input. They are in charge of it, and see what we can do to help them. That's the best I can do at this point. And I know there's a lot of discussion. They're discussing on trying to clean up the brush down there. They're trying to make it more presentable. I'm not sure where they are on that. I've been just reading the minutes of the meeting. I haven't actually discussed it with any of them. So, well, let's ask what they're going to do with the whole site. The whole site needs cleaning up, even beyond what you're referring to, because it's starting to grow in amongst all the rocks, and I think the entire thing looks kind of shabby.
Well, I wasn't concerned with that much as the health hazard that's going on up there, so.
Okay. Any other public input? Pat?
It's actually a great segue. After every weekend, Todd Keys and myself clean trash bags of trash out of the dam at the mill pond. Can that be handled by our town, or who would I send the bill to?
You can mail it.
Yeah, I can mail the bill.
How much
It-
trash
it-
you, how much trash
it
you
is-
finding up there?
It is the town beach.
How much you finding up there?
It ranges. If it's a hot sunny weekend, I'll pull 2-3 trash bags out of there.
With trash in them?
No, this is just litter everywhere.
Oh,
We
you're
put
talking
them in
about picking
trash
the
bags.
area up?
Yeah,
We should be picking the area up. We really should be.
I agree.
Um,
That would be
That'd be
great.
a job for Chris to look into it. So,
Something, we can just make sure Brad's aware.
yeah, you wanna make sure Brad's aware of that.
Is it in the park behind the dam,
No, it's at the dam.
at the dam?
Where they have the.
Where they
sand
swim.
area.
Yeah,
We
where
need
they
to do
swim.
that.
Where they swim.
That's our job.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to light.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other public input? Ed?
Governor Wentworth School District. Again, I said the meeting was tonight, 7 o'clock. They rotate, and they're going to do Brookfield tonight, so they'll be there. How much do you actually pay? How much does the town of Ossipee pay annually to the district?
1.4 million last month alone, so. 8 million? Ballpark? I don't have it with me.
If anyone here has any questions that they would like me to ask the school board, or if you'd like to attend tonight at 7 o'clock, please do. See me afterwards, and if you have any questions, ask me, because people are telling me that that's a very large bill, and they feel that they have no voice in that payment. That's kind of shocking to me. And when I speak to the school board off record, they tell me that no one shows up and tells them that it's too much money or that it should be done different. So here's your opportunity. Either email me, see me after the meeting, or say it now. Any issues you have with the school board and how they're doing it, I'll go right there tonight and I'll tell them.
Ask you a question.
Yeah, I think not included in the budgeted payment that we make, I believe Ossipee still has to pay for the transportation to and from Governor Wentworth. Is that? No?
That's in the
That's
school
That's in their
budget.
budget.
That's in their budget as well.
Yeah, we don't pay anything separate other than
Then that one.
the amount that's
That one's
stored on
enough.
an annual basis, is correct. Cole?
Yeah, could you have them address the fact that it's been brought up about the drugs being taught in the schools, their program being gone, all right? Dare and sex education both, okay, according to the school board, this was, I didn't even live in Ossipee at the time, okay? According to the school board, okay, are state health issues. They need to take care of it. There's where it goes. Health department says, you know, I mean, Manchester, this guy came in here, you know, right? Well, Manchester has it set up, you walk in any fire station or police station, all right? But you have to ask for help. If I was using drugs, I want help, I can walk in, within 12 hours, they've got me in a program with a counselor. I don't know why that can't be instituted statewide.
The reason it can't be instituted statewide is because there isn't enough beds to put people in. It's not a shortage of people willing to help people who are addicted. It's a shortage of physical beds to get them in to help. Manchester's got a great thing going right now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shooting it. I would love to see it become the model. But in order for that to be successful, they have to have a whole lot more beds available to put that person in. One thing that Luke mentioned, and this, listen, I don't want to get too far afield on this, but I've dealt with addictions my whole adult life. There is a window about that wide that's open when somebody not only is ready to receive help, that help must be available then. It doesn't do any good, in all sincerity, in all deference to what he was saying, it doesn't do any good to have a bed available a week from now. Because if you don't get them when that window's open, they're back to the races, they're back using, and they're no longer thinking about recovery. There needs to be more beds, there need to be more programs. It is a public health issue.
I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is, the school board and our Department of Health, okay, within the state, bumping heads. Oh, no, this is your responsibility, this is your responsibility.
It has to be everybody, and this is the problem.
Exactly.
And I also want it clear that my loyalty is not to the DARE program. It never was.
No.
My loyalty is to be doing an anti-drug, and at the time it was an anti-violence message with our kids. If you built a better mousetrap, for God's sakes, unveil it. DARE was the only real program that was available at the time. They threw the baby out with the bathwater and didn't replace it with anything. Now, any police officer will tell you, you cannot police your way out of this problem. You can't lock enough people up. Because when you lock up this dealer, somebody else is going to step in tomorrow to fill that void because there's still a market for it. You cannot police your way out. It has to be equal parts. Prosecution, prevention, and treatment. I think they're doing a lot of the prosecution, albeit I do agree that the judges are way too lenient. But we're not doing squat for prevention.
No.
Nothing. I mean, literally nothing. And then we're coming in dribs and drabs with treatment. You won't be successful until you even up those efforts. Our school district, and I'll ask you to ask them, because I've asked them many times and never got an answer. Why are they not doing an anti-drug, anti-violence program in these elementary schools? It needs to happen.
And that's why I've said many times in this very room, you have to get to the kids. You have to, and that is the one thing that's ignored. The legislature passed a bill called Granite Hammer. 90% of that money was all for law enforcement. We tried to amend the bill to have a lot of that money go to prevention and treatment. didn't pass. Ask yourself again, I believe a gentleman was here talking about the funding issues. And I don't mean the lack of funds, I mean where the funds go. Follow the money. Demand better. Go to your school board meetings because no one ever goes. And tell them that you want things different, you want things changed. I'm going to do that tonight. Governor Whitman School District rotates around to try to get more. Now, they do try really hard to get people involved, but no one shows up at the meetings. No one shows up at the budget meetings, and this is where a lot of this money can be put into. So, that's my
Thank you.
statement. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna piggyback on what Ed said. We even tried to put an amendment in to get $150,000 down to the counties to help with prosecution and all the other expenses that the actual law enforcement brings to the counties, and we couldn't even get that passed. So
There has to be a balance.
We're
Cops
working.
can't, the police themselves will tell you, they can't do it.
They can't do it.
They can't do it. It's only a fraction of the answer.
We need equal parts. Thank you, Sally.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Any other public input? Not, make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.